Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Dalia Saleh. Today, inshallah, I'm going to present you with some information about the novel The Goat Days. This novel is part of the course World Literature, which is taught by Dr. Isam Shahada. So before starting my presentation, I would like just to give you a brief about the novel that will be discussed in these slides. So I will start by giving you the summary of the plot before heading to the main sections or features of the topic. The topics will cover those points: animal life in the present as a new kind of freedom, Arbab's treatment of laborers, Najib's journey from solitary confinement to freedom, and the psychological effect that Najib experience, and the loneliness, isolation, and melancholy, loss of the meaning of the word freedom, enjoying freedom in the present, and I will end with some conclusion. Actually, this is the author of the novel, The Goat Days. His name is Bini Daniel, and his pen name is Benyamin. He was born in India, and he wrote his novel in 2008 using the Malayalam-language. So the novel basically is about an abused migrant worker in Saudi Arabia. So the novel is based on the real-life experience of a Gulf escapee in the 1990s. His name is Najib Muhammad, and he is a young man from Kerala State. It is based on India, or it is located in India, and here is the map of Kerala, which we can find in India. So here are some scenes from Kerala State. I think they are very beautiful scenes. So Najib was a young man. He was newly married, and he dreamed of a better life, to get more money, to work in the Persian Gulf states, so to return back to his family with more money, to seek a better life, to buy some expensive things, as he mentioned, like a golden watch and different things. So Najib, like many other youngsters in Kerala, he decided to go to Gulf country to improve the quality of life and to meet the increasing demands of life. But actually, everything turns upside down when he were taken from the airport, or he was kidnapped and forced to work as a slave, or a laborer in a farm which is located in the faraway desert. So at the airport, he gets trapped, is taken away by a rich Arab animal farm supervisors to work at his farm. He was assigned to look after goats, sheep, and camels for almost 3.5 years in the remote deserts. So the farm supervisor was brutal man. He controlled Najib with a gun and binoculars, and he frequently beated him. In that country, or in the new place, Najib didn't know the language of the people, or the places, or the people themselves. Everything was new to him. So he started a relationship with the goats. So he talked to them about his dreams, he ate with them, he even slept with them. So one can imagine the brutality and the harsh life that Najib lived. However, he kept a ray of hope, and he was thinking about that day when he will become free and this suffering will come to an end. Finally, one night, with the help of a Somalian worker and his friend, he managed to escape that suffering, and he went to the prison before being deported to his homeland. We will see later. So animal life, from the title of the novel, we can imagine the animal life that Najib will experience. He was completely controlled by the Arbab's gun and binoculars. His life becomes a big challenge for him. So the only human being he sees every day was that cruel Arbab. He was tough like a thunder. So everything was restricting, and he lived under depression and repression. He was forced to work from dawn until dusk, and he was deprived of any rest, with only minimum food, work without knowing the language or the place, and even the chance to escape was very little. So when Najib was able, or when he managed to escape from that suffer, he moved to the prison. When we see the prison, we think about suffering, agony, loneliness, confinement, and different negative concepts and meanings. But for Najib, it was totally different. Prison for him was a new kind of freedom. How's that? When we remember the life he experienced at that faraway desert, and he was restricted, and he was not able to move, to speak, to experience his emotion, to express his emotions, we will see that life in a prison will be more merciful than life at the desert. So, Arbab's treatment of laborers. Here is Najib remembers something that happened to him with his life, with his master. When he says that one day he was suffering from a pain in his stomach and he was fatigued. When he explained that to the Arbab, his more workload was imposed on him. So he experienced mental agony that the Arbab didn't understand, and he even imposed more restrictions on him. Another situation that happened with him one day, when he saw like fumes coming out of the goat nostrils, when suddenly that goat didn't give him a chance to evade, and he hit him strongly on the chest. So Najib like fell on the ground and he complained and was screaming. When he suddenly opened his eyes, he saw the Arbab in front of him. The Arbab was not care about him. He even poured some hot water on his face when he called him Himar, and he shouted at him. So they were like bad conditions that he suffered. And despite all these circumstances, he kept hope, and he thought about that day when will he come free. So of course there are some psychological effects that were lifted on his mind, on his life, and on his view about all life. So as a social being, we humans tend to interact with each other, tend like to go away and talk to each other about our experiences, about our agonies. So that extreme isolation would surely have a mental toll on the individual. When solitary confinement can lead to several psychological challenges, including depression and social tendencies. Even though Najib was not behind any bar, but his life in that place, which seems like endless, that desert, this vast place, his circumstances were so bad. The only thing is that he is expected to work like a machine, which needs very little fuel. There is no occasion to speak to another person, no one to help, no hope of escaping from gunpoint. So when he went to that prison, he had the chance to see people who suffered the same experience. He had the chance to talk to them about his suffering. So that chance gave him like a space to have like a psychological relief, to have some joy when he see that other people even suffered more than him. All these things made him more adaptive to his situation, to his life in that cruelty, in that far away place, in the vast desert. So freedom for him was not like the meaning of freedom we normal people have. For example, for me, freedom is about having the chance to travel, to work and get money, the chance to talk, to express myself, to express my ideas. But for Najib, the meaning of freedom has totally changed. He didn't want to work, to get money. All what he wanted is just the freedom to talk, to walk, to have even good food and a chance to meet the people. He remembers a day when some like 3 men came to the farm and asked the supervisor about a job. Even those men didn't look at him, didn't smile at him. He was very happy because at last he saw some people. They were like they were a human being like him, and that was the kind of freedom he enjoyed and he wanted. So here to conclude, nobody wants to be in a prison, but Najib enjoys his life in the prison because he got trapped physically, mentally, and emotionally in the Masara, which is worse than the life in the prison. And he has a fair chance of being released from the prison. Whereas in the Masara, the chance to come out of the place is almost impossible. And also the fearful presence of uncertainty gives him a lot of psychological stress. He enjoys being in a prison as a new kind of freedom because he has gone through conditions that are worse than those in a prison. As a result, his journey from the desert to the prison becomes a journey from the bondage of slavery to freedom. And thank you. لسه ما خلصتش يعني